Ardent J.K. Rowling defender and gender critical journalist for The Telegraph is outed as a neo-Nazi. Oh, I saw this! Nina Power and Daniel Miller declared bankruptcy as a result of legal troubles they faced, I believe, and in the court cases against them outed a ton of information, including chat logs where they discussed being open Nazis. Is that in this thread? Yeah, here we go. Oh, by the way, if I remember correctly, Nina Powers, or maybe the other one, both of them, they were the ones who were running that, or working for that website, that so-called journalistic website that we tore into Slavoj Žižek for being on. Do you remember that? What was the name of it? They were, there was that website where Slavoj Žižek posted the super transphobic article, and we looked at all the contributors and people who were a part of it, and they were like ultra far right. Compact Magazine, that's right. Anyway, now we get to see the wonderful character of these individuals in some Telegram messages of theirs that have been leaked now on account of these court documents. If I can tell you later. I think at some point we need to read Mein Kampf properly. Lol. Seriously, I want to understand it. I keep a copy in my study, of course. Well, I have one too. I think maybe it is necessary. What if we find ourselves agreeing with it? Oh my god, he's right about everything. Right. Pretty straightforward. I wonder if the social disapproval for racism is a psyop to stop people realizing that there are alien and fairy races. Also, that black and white were alien races and very different. Yes, you should not reveal this to most people. That's definitely true. They can't handle it. Nazi esotericism, guys. Most of these people are crackpots. Oh my god, I love Hitler, ooh. It is kind of funny, isn't it? It reminds me a little bit of Red Scare, where you have this weird, incoherent blend of far-right politics and this, like, tweedly millennial, like, pseudo esoteric horoscope kind of, like, bullshit aesthetic, you know? You know what I'm talking about, right? I'm definitely a Nazi now, lol. Nice. Okay, we set up our own. No fatties, no women, no homo, of course. And definitely no trannies unless it's to admit they're just sick motherfuckers. This is from a woman, by the way. They're always pick-me's. Thinking of fleeing to Argentina like Mengele. Don't run, I think there will be an orgy of blood soon. Very hard to remove all these people. Yeah, so on and so forth. Also running secret Groiper accounts. I mean, this all kind of tracks, I guess. Day of the Rope shit. Yeah, it's just funny, again, like, there you go. There's, like, the kind of company that J.K. Rowling keep, I suppose. By the way, she was writing for Telegraph. In case you were ever wondering, like, at what levels is there, like, collaboration and integration? You have Nazis integrated basically into every, like, mainstream conservative publication at this point. Oh yeah, this is the Ubermensch woman, by the way, talking about the orgy of blood, which again, like, immediately you can tell on every level, probably done a lot of, probably gotten railed at a lot of, like, in a lot of, like, all male friend circles, big, like, pick me kind of girl. I know women like this. You can't come at me for being misogynist. I know. These people are high on male attention. They think they're smart because they, like, they have an understanding of Hegel that's, you know, comparable to the, you know, Caesar's Legion-esque dialogue. I mean, very superficial understanding of philosophy. They enter into and rebroadcast an ideology that hates them and by the way, like, show any Groiper a woman who looks like this, they would say she's like an uggo fatty, whatever, because they hate women, but she's different, she's special, because she's in the crowd, same as the Red Scare types, you know? I guess at least they're, I don't know if they're hot really anymore. I can't really say that anymore, I guess. It's all pick-me shit, you know? Yeah, one of the good ones. People who think of themselves as spiritual men in a lot of ways, I think. You kind of got that with Lauren Southern as well, where you have women who propagate an ideology of female submissiveness but think they're different, you know? Lauren Southern spent years as an ideologue propagating the belief that women want to be like submissive, do-nothing partners of men. Then she tried doing it, got abused, and left. And it's like, okay, hypocrisy on multiple levels here. For one, do you realize the problem with the ideology you propagated? And for two, didn't you enjoy being the one in power, Lauren Southern? Don't you, Nina Powers? Don't you like being in a system where you have the ability to pretend that you're better than other women and rise, you know, to your own station? Because they think spiritually they're not like women. They think they have like the soul of a man. Yeah, Margaret Thatcher did the same thing. Phenomenal stuff, really. I'm here for him, yeah. Transitioning could have saved him. Nina Power used her secret Gorsid6 account to engage extensively with other far-right associates, including London neo-Nazi Jack Stocco, aka Parallax Optics, who inspired the 2021 Denver mass shooter. Here they promote the far-right World War trans conspiracy theory. These people are crazy, dude. I want it to be known, by the way, that unlike the far-right schizo freaks, who we constantly see getting outed, I don't have a secret like mega Stalinist account or whatever they all these people always have like secret accounts where they role play as like little 4chan grapers saying random shit. It's their whole world. They don't have an outside world. They don't have like normal hobbies or normal personalities. They're not like normal people. They're not normal. They're obsessed with this shit to an extent. Like has been said many times before, you know, if you want to hear more about trans people, unfollow your trans oomfies and follow far-right accounts. They're obsessed. I genuinely don't understand what kind of like mental state you would have to be in as a large, powerful public figure who writes for the Telegraph to have a tiny private alt anonymous account where you debate pseudo philosophy with other neo-Nazis in a completely private forum, saying nothing and meaning nothing. It feels like they want to construct a tiny echo chamber where they can remind themselves that their delusional freak behavior is somewhat normal. They're always talking about trans people, man. I feel like I can read this lady's personality almost entirely from the photo that she chooses to represent herself. Can't you? You can see it, right? These people are almost always open books. It's like a crude reimagining of the way leftist artists make fun of fascists by the way they depict themselves, you know? Like this desperate attempt to look powerful when in reality it looks like you're doing the DreamWorks face at a like you know at a photographer in a mall. The way they attempt to perform superiority when actual Ubermenschen probably wouldn't be like making Groyper alt accounts or going, Lamau, I also have Mein Kampf. Lamau, like some kind of, I don't know, Tradcath Valley girl. It's crazy. DreamWorks face, they're always performing. It's always a performance with them. They can't understand authenticity because they don't recognize it in themselves or in other people. To them, the entire world is a performance. They project by accusing trans people of doing what they do as part of some broader strategy to engage in degeneracy or invalidate women or whatever the else, because they can't imagine having an authentic experience because they don't have them. Everything they do is like a giggling little pantomime. They don't have real friends because having real friends would require lowering your boundaries enough to acknowledge a sort of shared camaraderie. It's such a sad way to live. Yeah, but you see it literally all the time in the far right, don't you? How many if you look at a far left account on Twitter, you see a person, now don't get me wrong, a lot of far left accounts on Twitter are psychopaths, but they act like normal people in most cases. The way they talk and reply to others, it really just looks like they're a very left-leaning person who has a Twitter account. They engage with others, they can be friendly, they have a wide variety of like emotional responses. They act like normal people. If you look at a far right account on Twitter, they act like a giggling AI psychopath for that, like trained on pole imagery, you know? They just talk, they don't engage with other people normally. Everything looks like it's a pantomime or like theater. They're supposed to behave in certain ways with others. It reminds me a lot of the folding ideas video on the way crypto grifters and NFT people talk to each other. Where if you look at NFT accounts interact with one another on Twitter, or at least maybe like a few years ago, because nowadays they've fallen off quite a bit. But if you looked at the way they interacted with each other a few years ago, they did not act like people, man. There was like a cult-like doctrine of acceptable modes of engagement, mantras to repeat, phrases, thought terminating cliches. They didn't interact with each other like normal people. It was really, 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 really weird. And the far right acts that way as well, because they can't understand authenticity. They don't act like normal people. And it's just kind of weird to see they don't act like it in private as well. Oh dear Lord, this Canadian PhD is hyper super woke. My master's major research paper entitled Performance Art and the Rituals of Everyday Life in East Vancouver, etc., etc. The PhD is written as a confessional. The day I had spent hours sitting at my desk wondering whether I even knew what auto theory was and why it was such interest to me, ... How long does that continue? It'll take at least 5 minutes to read. Oh no, the dissertation is a sustained reflection on the auto-theoretical. Maybe this is me projecting. I'm deferring to the crowd. Does this sound to you like the way a normal person talks, or does this sound to you like somebody pantomiming like the facade of an intellectual above it all? Oh, I'm not like one of those jittering, crazy alt-right torch-wielding at Charlottesville, I'm an intellectual, I'm like a post-Hegelian, LARPing philosopher. It's highly inauthentic. I genuinely think that it's all a performance. I can't prove that objectively. I can't read her mind. It just comes across that way to me. Very little internal world, NPC behavior. It's fake intellectualism. Again, this just reminds me so heavily of Red Scare. The people who feel a need to frame their like highly irrational beliefs through the pantomime of rationality, they usually act like that, I think. Oh yeah, Stefan Molyneux liked to do this stuff, but he was like actually superiority complex with skewed understanding solely based on Telegram fascist Heidegger memes. Exactly. I bet it would make that woman seethe for her to be referred to as J.K. Rowling supporter and nothing else. Universities are filled with people like this, TBH. Universities are filled with people who are very performative in the way they demonstrate their intelligence. I don't deny that at all. But I think there's a huge difference between people who act that way because they want to be perceived as smart and people who act that way because they're desperately trying to give like an intellectual face to something that is fundamentally a hate movement, There's a huge difference between a person who is pretentious and person who affects pretentiousness as a way of, laminating neo-Nazism. Also, having been to university, man, you can like talk to a pretentious person normally, like they have their moments, but pretentiousness, I think, is just a component of the human experience. There's a pretty big difference between a person being a holistic freak about it and a person being like, maybe a bit full of themselves, but you can have a convo with them if you want to. It's possible. And yeah, I saw this. At the rate things are going, the Labour Party is going to be to the right of the Tories within 6 months. So, vote accordingly, I guess. I don't know. These guys. I look forward to the Reform Party winning the next election. Starmer is our Macron? No, Starmer is significantly worse than Macron. You know that, right? Like, Macron is a neoliberal who is sort of like laid the foundation for the rise of the far right in France. Starmer is actively like racing over to the right on cultural issues. It's crazy. He might be worse than a Tory in the long run. Safa Kimmel. I guess we'll see.